Alright, so the end is Nigh modding tutorial I made. Wasn't too good. The desktop audio was way too loud and you couldn't even hear my voice half the time. So, this time I'm hoping to get it right for once. Which, knowing me, it probably won't happen, but we'll see. Now, this tutorial is going to be going more in depth. So, firstly, you're going to want to get GitHub Desktop. You can, now this is technically optional, but it makes the end is Nigh modding so much easier. So, github.com, for me, I have an account, so it looks like this, but you can just Google GitHub Desktop, find it right here, or just go to desktop.github.com, and then download for your platform. And with that, for a new The End is Nigh mod, you'll want to create a new repository. So, I'm gonna go and name this like an example mod. And then here I'm just going to give it a description of a tutorial mod. Local path, I'm just gonna have it on the desktop. Get ignore, none. License, none. Just, well, license, you can look these up and figure out what they are, or you could just not be bothered. So, create repository, just like that, and here it is. And it has this folder called, or file called .git attributes. You could just go ahead and delete that. And so now, you will want to get the End is Nigh Community Edition. You can find this in the server. Where is it? Here, let me find it. Here is it. Here it is. This, right here. The End is Nigh Community Edition .zip. So I'm just gonna go ahead and save this to my desktop. Here it is. And it just has this folder, and then it has all of this stuff in it. I'm just gonna go ahead and copy this into example mod right here. Just Control C, Control V. Or I guess you could drag it if your keyboard feels like it doesn't want to work. And now you can see that we have added a git ignore, as well as several other files. These are going to be useful for modding. So now, the first thing that you'd want to do is, well, you see, this isn't actually the full game, because if I were to launch this, it will just crash. Because, you know, I can't just put the entire game online for you to download. So you need to own the game. You can either get it through Steam or the Epic Games launcher. But you just need to get your game.gpack, and copy it into this folder. And now, the game will run just fine. This is the vanilla game. There should be nothing fancy here. Yep. So, from here, we're going to want to create a tile maps folder. Because the first thing you think of when you think of levels is usually, when you think of mods, is usually levels, right? And I just so happen to have provided a level editor. You can delete these folders. It's only useful in very few it's useful in very few cases. So go and open up the end editor.exe. I will usually like to divide these into different sections of my screen. And so from here, I'm just going to make a level. So I'm just going to start out, and you can learn to use this. Basically, you have a brush tool in which you can paint these objects. You can rotate things by using Q and E. And this also allows you to access other versions, like it turns this wrap tile, or it turns this no tile into a no over, which turns it into a no back. It'll also give you other variations in some cases. It didn't affect wind. What other instances are there? Yeah, it can be used as background and foreground offsets. And here, in particular, we want to add some camera bounds. This just, tells the game how to make the camera. Generally, because the screen will shake whenever you die, you want to have it, add blocks one outside of the camera's range. Keep in mind that it's widescreen, so you don't want it to be a 4:3 aspect ratio. You want it to be closer to a 16:9 aspect ratio. The game will make up the difference for you, though, so don't worry about getting it exactly right. So from here, I'm just gonna add a few things. And you want to add a debug spawn and a save point. So now go ahead and save this in the tile maps folder, and you need to prefix it and then add a dash and then a level number. So for instance, you can save it as mod-1, or you could save it as 1-1, all Super Mario Bros. Style. Or you can do mod 1-1. There are many different things that people go for. I generally prefer to go with my username, so either Finn or Pix dash, and if I'm making multiple areas, I'll prefix it with 1 or 2 or 3. Pix 1-1. But here is just a single area, so I'll label it Pix. Go ahead and save this. Right there. And so now, the settings should already be set up so that if you go into the game and just load a new save file, you should be able to just press enter and open up the developer console. Now you can load just Pix-1. And would you look at that, it's our level. So it halfway works. There are spikes and stuff. But one thing you'll notice is that it's looking really bland. This doesn't look like any area in the game, and also there's no background. There's just no anything. So let's go ahead and fix that. Now, for this next part, you're going to want to go to View and check File Name Extensions. In fact, I don't actually know how people can use their computer without checking that. It's super important that you check it. Like, really, I cannot understate how important it is. Because in here, there's a file, tilesets.txt.append. This you want to edit with Notepad. I use a different program called Notepad++, which, let me go ahead and actually, one second. Here, I'm just going to set it to gone. So, in here, you can just make your own area. So what you want to do is you want to type in the prefix of your area, in this case, Pix. This is before the dash, right here. Pix-1, so Pix. And then add a curly brace. You can do this by pressing Shift and then the square bracket keys. They are to the right of the P. Next, you'll usually want to use indentation, like tab or 4 spaces, just to offset it by a bit. It's just easier to read it that way. And And then we'll want to find, you'll want to, so you can, if you just remember, you can just type out what the things that you need to fill out, but instead of that, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to just copy a tile set from the base game. So here I have my Steam directory. It's a bit of a mess, but there's something I need to get, and so I'm going to go online to lailgames.com/theendisnigh workshop, and then I want to get the resource unpacker. Go ahead and download this file. I'm just going to put it on the desktop. And now go ahead and just drag game.jpack onto this file. And now you'll notice this folder in the game directory called output. And in here, it has these 7 folders. In here, I'm going to take a look at tilesets.txt. And you can see it just has every single level in the game here. So we can find, I like arid flats, so I'm going to find the arid flats. Here it is. Area name, arid flats. So I'm just going to copy this, Control C, and paste it right here, Control V. And then, quick tip, if you want to convert spaces to slashes, you could just type in space 4 times, add extended, and then replace it with \T. Replace all 27 occurrences were replaced. It just converts it all to your format. And so now, if I were to load into the game, my area pics should show the arid flats tile set, as it's called. And as you can see, it definitely looks like the arid flats. It has the arid flats music, it has the text up there, the arid flats, but background's looking goofy. So we can fix this by going into here and setting a background offset. And place this wherever just to get an idea of what it does, and then go ahead and move it until it generally is where you like it to be. Particularly, this level is actually a bit small, so I'm just going to go ahead and expand its size a bit. Good time to mention there is a bucket fill tool in this editor. Might want to move this up. There we go. And we're starting to see some of the background now. If you're right there, you can see the sun in the corner and the beautifulness that is the arid flats background. And there are other things too that we can add, like water, for instance. Who doesn't like water? Look at that. Water. Mixy. Okay. So you'll notice that it says leave area, and it'll just take you back to the base game. But here there's a map. So what the heck is with that? Well, here we need to edit the world map. And so in order to do that, we need to go to the example mod, data, and then load up worldmap.txt. Now, this looks like a bunch of stuff, and that's because it is. It takes a lot of time to learn this file, but all you need to know is that main worlds is just a list of worlds, and you want to add your world to this list. So I'm just going to add pics right here. And now, I would load up the game, and also I'm just going to make some changes in the settings real quick. Modding fast start. If you don't want to constantly select a save, this can be useful. And then I'm just going to set this to be 720 by 1280, as well as screen mode window. There we go. And now you can see it shows map. But it's not, but we're just being placed on the end. Now then, this is where you get into SWF or Swift modding. And that requires lots of practice to get good at. So, just go ahead and, my recommendation, just avoid it for now. And don't worry about the map. There are some very kind people in the End is Nigh Discord. You can see it right here. In fact, the End is Nigh. The permanent invite link is, where is it? There it is. Discord.gg/theendisnigh, capitalized. Here's what Swift modding looks like. It is not fun. So, now that we have this, what's next? Well, we can go ahead and change some stuff, and also just get a better understanding of the tile sets. So, area name. What is this? This is what it is whenever you were to go to the map. So, I'm going to type in refresh particles, which, contrary to what it may seem like, will refresh the entire tile set. And if I were to go here, let me change out a fast start real quick, just for demonstration. Fast start, fast start, fast start. Weird. My save file didn't save. Oh, that's strange. Usually does. Well, anyway, where it says nowhere, that will be replaced with this. So instead of saying nowhere, it'll say Bixley. So let's just go and pretend that didn't happen. So what's the rest of it mean? Tile area label frame. This is what tells it that the giant text that says, the end, or the arid flats, or overflow. That just shows which one starts here. So the arid flats normally is, but if I were to refresh, now it's the end, and if I were to set this to 3, refresh, load, overflow. I could set this to 8, refresh, load, the machine. This is also done through SWF modding. Here you can see here from my mod, well actually it's the community's mod that I just so happen to be a part of. It's just, one is Swamplands, 2 is Seamarks, Mount Moriah, Depths, Ghost Ship, Exhaust, that, Bastion of Hope, and then it's the base game because we had to do something with it. And so that just refers to which one it should show. So I'm just going to set this to 0, which means that there is no label frame. So now, tile graphics. This controls essentially, you see these tiny little decorations on the bottom? It controls that. So if I were to change this to tile complex, refresh particles, now you can see it's changed. And then overlay graphics is these little rocks and stuff that you can see in the soil. So if I were to change this with, say, overlays, complex. Can't really think of anything else. Now it's the tiles in the machine. Let's see, what else is there? Tile overlays. Let me see. What are some other ones? Let's see. So there's overlays city. Tile airship. Overlays airship. Yeah, sure. Let's try that. Refresh particles. And now it's the SS Exodus tile, or overlays, which are these bricks. Background graphics. That's the background. I can swap this out with, for instance, BG1. I don't think it wanted me to do BG1. So if you specify something that doesn't exist, it'll give you that error, which basically states, hey, the graphic you just specified doesn't exist. And now here, I got it right, and it needs to be readjusted. But now you can see it is definitely the background for the first chapter, the end. Foreground graphics. This is either set to none or FG1, and all FG1 really does is just actually, here, let me set the offset for it. There it is, yeah. It's those clouds. Why it's not just a particle, I have no idea. Next, FX shader. Shaders in general are complicated, so I'll get to those in another video. Palette. Palette just specifies the palette. So now it's the color scheme in the end. And now it's the color scheme in overflow. Then it's the split. Then it's retrograde. And then it's hollows and so on. I'm just going to leave this at 3 for now. Global particle. This just determines, like the wind that we can see moving along here. Or these little, these things. These are leaves and cloud wind _ light, respectively. And then there's a tile particle, dust. Probably be better if I had Some more tiles. So if I were to just go ahead and make a particle right here, particle emitter. Wow, how revolutionary. Yeah, it's very faint. Here, let me just go ahead and absolutely overrun the place. Anyway, there it is. Yeah, it's just dust. It's very subtle. So area type, it's either normal or dark, which is the future, or it's cart. I think it is. Let me see. Isn't it cart? Yeah, area underscore type cart, or iron cart, or glitch. For glitch carts. So I'm just gonna go and leave this at normal. Next, there are the NPCs. NPC 1 is this guy, NPC 2 is this guy, and NPC 3 is this guy. Here they are. Yeah, they're just different skeletons. And then, in order to add more than 3 NPCs, you'll want to change the NPC for the level that you want the NPC for. So here, this will only apply to level 4. NPC 1 is actually going to be NPC H1, which if I were to add this, you would see that NPC H1 is this little fella right here. And then there's a cool command cancer. And then it's just a Steven. He takes you into the future. This is the same as it is in the vanilla game. In which I can very openly display that I am awful at the end is nigh. Alright, let me go back to something I'm actually good at, modding. So, decorations. These are right here, and they just are these things. They go over the player, and they tell you stuff, or they can be used to replace other things. So you could just set this to the head. There you can see it's just the head, but it's alternating between that and something else. And then I can make this the heart. Oh yeah. Let me refresh part. Would you look at that? It's the heart. So yeah, that's what decorations do. And otherwise, if you don't specify them, it's just nothing. Then music, it's just the audio file. we don't have any audio in here, but you can find some in the base game, in output, audio, music, and here what's currently playing is, well, New World. There's 2 audio files, New World intro, which is the introduction, and New World loop, which is a clean loop. What that means is that you can just play it on repeat and you won't be able to notice that it's looping. It just will keep going forever. And then ambience is in a different folder, but it's basically the exact same thing. Audio, ambience. And it's just wind, which it's just a recording of wind. I'm not really sure what else would be there, but I could replace this with like 1812, for instance. And now it's the overflow theme. And so this is all well and good, but how do you make more levels? Like, yeah, we have a level, but how do we go to the next one? Well, you use this, level transition. So I'm just gonna go and place a transition right here, and then I'm going to make and then I'm going to make another level. And then I want to do the exact opposite in the other level. So I'm going to the right, so on the other level I'm going to the left. Needs to be the exact same shape. And then I could just make it more stuff. And you also want to add a debug spawn. And always add a save. Always add a save point. There's no reason to not to anyway. Then let's just go and place some entities. Cuckoos, they're the things that you see in the arid flats. I'm just gonna go ahead and make them move a bit, I guess. Add a sine wave and make them wrap. And now I could just try going to the next level, but oh no map found name dot level. Well, that's useful. So in order to add this, we need to edit map.csv. Here, this has literally everything in the game. 1-1, 1-0, 1-2, 1-3, and then there's the arid flats. And then there's overflow, the split, along with wall of sorrow, Golgotha, hollows, retrograde, machine, Exodus. Yeah. And so I would just either attach it to the current game or find your own little spot here. So I'm just gonna write x-1, and then to the right of it, x-2, like that. Save it, and that's all you need to do. Now, if we were to load the game, and go to load x-1, would you look at that? Now then, there are a few questions still remaining though, like how do you add custom palettes? and how do you add custom NPCs. So let's go ahead and go through those. So in order to add custom palettes, you need to create a folder called textures. And in here, you need to add a palette. So we can find this in extracted. So let's just go to textures and then palette.png. Just copy it on over. But make sure you keep the base game intact though. I would recommend using paint.net. I would really recommend using MS Paint because it's not really an image markup software. It's an image editing software. So I'm just going to add something to the very bottom. I'm just going to make it a hue shifted version of what's a cool looking tile set. Well, sorry, or not. And then I'm just gonna apply some adjustments. Add some more darkness, contrast, more contrasting. And then just go ahead and do that. And yeah, sure, I'll just save it like this. And now hover over this in paint.net and it will tell you right here what you want to put in for palette. In this case, I want to put in 63 for palette. So I put in 63. Now unfortunately you need to restart the game to reload palette.png. Now I can load it and it's using my custom palette. But then let's let's finish off by adding our own NPCs. So I'm just gonna name this NPC Pixie. And in order to do this, we need to make a new file, or actually I think it's already here. Yeah, npcs.txt.append. And as always, we should refer to the base game npcs.txt. So, extracted data npcs.txt. This guy's saying a very naughty word, but he's very simple. So just go and copy and paste into here. Get rid of this because hashtag means that it's not actually read. So the sound ID is NPC skull. This can be one of several other things. NPC 0. This is what it is. You can add your own different ones with Swift modding, or you could just use one of the base game ones. You can find them in here: NPC 3, NPC 4, NPC 15, NPC D7. And I'm just gonna change it to be that, and then NPC Pixel. And now I could just go and refresh particles. And now go ahead and just in X-1 add NPC 2. Look at that. Ta-da! So that's a baby's first introduction to modding. But I mean, you can already make a really good mod with this info. It's all you need to know until you want to get into complicated stuff like custom graphics. And that's where you really need to start asking other people, because it's not something that just a 30-minute YouTube video is going to be able to teach you. But I still hope this is helpful, anyway. Anyway, that'll be all for this time. Stay inside, kids.